You know that moment when you're on your third cup of coffee, it's 2 a.m., your phone hasn't buzzed all day, and it hits you. No one is checking in. No, how's it going? No, I'm proud of you. Just silence. You're doing everything right. You show up. You work harder than anyone. But it still feels like no one sees you. If you have a loyal heart that's tired of carrying everything alone, this is for you only. Because the truth is, working hard doesn't hurt. It's working hard with no one waiting at the end of the day that breaks you. And maybe no one says it, but when you're in a relationship, or even just talking to someone, you want more than just love. You want someone to notice you, to say, rest, I got you this time. But instead, you're doing the job, cleaning the house, finishing assignments, hitting goals, and still feeling like you're falling behind. How? Because no one is cheering. And that silence? It's louder than any argument. You check your messages hoping they saw your post. They didn't. Or worse, they did. And they said nothing. You act unbothered, but deep down you want someone to say, I see how hard you're trying. Not for the likes, for the relief. But here's the twist. Maybe the one person you needed that from is the one person who only shows up when you fall apart. Not when you're thriving. That's when it hits. Some people don't clap unless you're hurting. Because if you're doing better, they feel smaller. And that's not love. That's shadow competition. And you've been fighting for support from someone who secretly hopes you stay tired. This video is your permission to outgrow that. If you've ever texted, I'm okay, right after crying in the bathroom stall, this is for you. There's no trophy for suffering quietly, but you've been trained to believe that love equals endurance. Sign one. You don't complain because you don't want to be too much. You keep everything in, even though your heart is begging for a place to land. You're scared if you show your full exhaustion, they'll walk away. So you shrink your needs and overdeliver. But the people who truly love you, they never punish you for having limits. They don't disappear when you say, I need help. If you're dating someone who only sticks around when you're strong, you're not in a partnership, you're in a performance. You don't need to earn love through effort. You deserve to rest in it. Sign two, you feel guilty for wanting more. Not money or fame, just time, care, effort. And every time you bring it up, they say, you're just too emotional, or you're expecting too much. So you stop asking. But let me tell you, wanting to feel prioritized is not too much. It's basic. If they keep making you feel needy for needing them, they're the wrong person. Ta's story. She stayed up late every night helping her boyfriend with school applications. But when it was her turn, he said, you're smart, you'll figure it out. And he went to sleep. She realized love isn't about giving more. It's about receiving back without begging. Have you ever pushed yourself to the edge just to avoid thinking about them? Because sign three is this. You stay busy so you won't feel forgotten. Every project, every workout, every late-night hustle. It's not just ambition. It's pain dressed up as productivity. You're not grinding for fun. You're surviving silence. And when people say, wow, you're doing amazing, you smile. But inside, you whisper, I wish I had someone to tell that to. Here's the plot twist. You think you're building success, but really you're building walls, high ones that say, I don't need anyone, even when your heart screams otherwise. Healing isn't about working harder. It's about working less when your soul needs rest. Sign four. You're always the one reaching out first. They don't ask about your day. They forget your schedule. They never celebrate your wins unless you remind them. And you keep telling yourself, maybe they're just busy. But it's been weeks, and you're still making excuses for someone who wouldn't even notice if you stopped showing up. Ta's story. He worked 2 jobs to save for their trip. She forgot his birthday, said, I thought it was next week. He laughed it off. But in that moment, he knew. He was showing up for someone who wasn't even looking. And sometimes the hardest truth is this. You can't pour into someone who's never even brought a cup. If you have a heart that forgives too quickly, this is for you only. Sign 5, you convince yourself they're just not good at expressing themselves, even though deep down, you know they just don't try. You write their texts in your head. You excuse their silence as them being tired. You romanticize their absence because it's easier than admitting they don't care like you do. You go, they're just going through something, when in reality, they're just not going through it with you. A real partner pulls you closer when they're hurting, not further away. Don't chase someone who needs distance to feel powerful. That's not healing. That's power play disguised as personality. And if you're working yourself to exhaustion, hoping one day they'll wake up and notice, stop. Because someone who can watch you burn out without offering water will never be the person who walks with you in peace. You need someone who notices your tired eyes before you even speak. Sign 6. You stop talking about your dreams because they made you feel embarrassed. You dim yourself so they don't feel small. You act like your goals are just ideas so they don't get insecure. But slowly, you shrink. And what used to make you shine now feels like a threat to your own relationship. Here's the twist. The person who loves you doesn't fear your growth. They feed it. They say, go for it, I'll be here. But if you keep getting smaller so they can feel big, you'll forget how to expand. Ta said her ex called her too ambitious. Now she calls him a memory. Don't dull your brightness for someone who never wore sunglasses. You know that feeling when you finally sit down, everything's quiet, and you realize you don't know who to tell about your day? Sign 7. The moment something amazing or awful happens and your brain goes blank because the person you used to go to isn't really there anymore. Not in the way that counts. You type the message, reread it, and delete. Because what's the point? That moment, that's grief. The grief of being with someone who's still technically in your life, but emotionally checked out a long time ago. And now, you overwork, overthink, overexplain, just to avoid the silence that follows their disinterest. You give updates like you're pitching your life to someone who's barely listening. And you deserve better than being someone's background noise. Here's the unexpected truth. The hardest kind of alone isn't being single. It's being with someone and still feeling like no one's there. And no one teaches you how to leave that, how to walk away from a person you love, just because they don't show up like you need. But healing doesn't mean that pretending you're okay. It means finally admitting you're not. It means choosing peace over performance. It means working hard, but not for their approval. For your own joy. It means getting up, grinding, and building a life where your energy is matched, your words are heard, and your heart doesn't have to beg anymore. Ta's last story. She deleted his number but kept the playlist. Because even though she still loved the music, she knew the lyrics weren't hers anymore. You get up, grind, crash, repeat, until one day you stop the cycle and you walk into something better. Not just alone, but finally free.